Michael never expected that his own blood would betray him in such a cruel way. He had returned home after 3 months abroad, eager to see his young wife and his only son. His heart was filled with joy as he opened the door, but what he saw inside shattered his world. His son Daniel was in bed with his wife Clara. Michael froze. His legs weakened. The woman he loved and the boy for whom he had sacrificed everything stood before him in shame. Clara hid her face under the blanket, trembling, but Daniel looked directly into his father's eyes. "Dad, I know this is hard for you, but you must understand. I love her, and nothing will change that." Michael's lips trembled. "My own son with my wife," he whispered. His chest tightened as if the air had vanished. He staggered backwards, hit the wall, and fled the room. Memories of his life rushed before him. Michael had once been a poor young man in the slums of Lagos. He grew up with nothing but hunger and humiliation. His first wife, Patricia, had abandoned him when their son Daniel was barely 1 year old. She could not endure poverty. That night, Michael returned to find an empty house. He wept alone until dawn but swore to raise his son with strength. Years passed. Michael worked as a laborer, a street cleaner, a factory hand, anything that brought food to the table. He refused to give up. His determination finally paid off when he secured a job in a shipping company. Step by step, he rose through the ranks until he started his own logistics business. Success came like a storm. From sleeping on bare floors, he became a respected millionaire. Everything he had missed in childhood, he gave to Daniel. Clothes, cars, private schools, endless money. But in trying to erase his son's pain, he raised him without discipline. Daniel grew up in luxury, believing the world owed him everything. At 15, he had already begun copying his father's old ways. Michael, wounded by Patricia's betrayal, never remarried. He filled his loneliness with women, bringing them home without shame. Daniel, curious, often spied from behind doors. He learned too much too early. By 18, Daniel was famous in Lagos clubs. DJs shouted his name, girls fought for his attention, and reckless parties filled his nights. One evening, Michael returned from a business trip and decided to check on his son. He opened Daniel's room and froze. 3 half-naked girls laughed on his bed. Michael's voice cracked with fury. "Daniel!" The girls ran, but Daniel stayed calm. "Dad, why are you angry? You do this all the time." "I thought it was normal." Those words pierced Michael's soul. He had created his own reflection. He tried to correct Daniel, begged him to focus on studies, but the boy ignored him. Not long after, Patricia reappeared. She stood at the gate, shouting that she was Daniel's true mother. The boy looked at her coldly and walked inside. Michael confronted her. "You abandoned me when I had nothing. Now you want to return because I am rich?" "Never." But Patricia would not give up. She took him to court, claiming Daniel lacked proper guidance without a mother. The judge declared Michael must remarry to provide a maternal figure. Angry but cornered, Michael searched for a wife. Most women he met only wanted his wealth. Until one night in a quiet restaurant, he noticed Clara, a waitress. She was young, beautiful, and honest. When he gave her extra change, she returned it politely. Michael was impressed. Days later, he proposed marriage, offering her anything she wanted. Clara accepted reluctantly to support her struggling family. The wedding was lavish, the talk of Lagos. Michael was relieved, but Daniel despised the idea. He was 19. His stepmother was only 23. Clara tried to avoid conflict, but her marriage was heavy. Michael, much older, demanded intimacy she could not give with her heart. Every time he traveled abroad, she felt free. Then Daniel brought girls home again. Clara intervened, sending them away. Daniel exploded with anger, but the next morning she came to apologize. She wanted peace, but her presence in his room changed everything. He kissed her suddenly. She resisted, yet deep inside, she felt a strange weakness she could not explain. From that moment, a forbidden fire began. Days turned into weeks. Their secret burned behind closed doors. Servants suspected nothing. Michael returned from travels with gifts, never imagining that betrayal lived under his roof. Until one evening, he came back earlier than planned. The house was too quiet. He rushed upstairs and opened the door. What he saw broke him completely. His wife and his son, entangled, unable to deny. Michael's scream shook the walls. Clara fell to her knees begging forgiveness, but Daniel stood tall. "Dad, I regret nothing. I love her." The slap Michael gave echoed like thunder. "You are no longer my son. "Get out of my house, both of you." He blocked their accounts and threw them out. They fled to Clara's poor village. Life there was unbearable for Daniel. No lights, no clubs, no cars, only hunger and sweat. Yet through suffering, he held tightly to Clara. 2 years of hardship humbled him, but did not kill his obsession. One day he returned to Lagos, dragging Clara with him. He knelt before his father in tears. "Dad, forgive me. I was foolish, but my love is real." Michael stood silent, torn between pain and pity. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he declared that Clara could never again be his wife. If Daniel truly loved her, she would now become his. The city buzzed with shock when Michael organized their wedding. Guests whispered, but Michael spoke firmly. "I made mistakes raising my son. If this is his happiness, let it be so." Daniel smiled triumphantly as he held Clara, but Michael turned away, his heart bleeding. Was it true love or unforgivable betrayal? Only God knew. Life seemed perfect for Daniel and Clara after the wedding. Michael had reluctantly accepted their union, but he kept his distance. He no longer smiled, no longer trusted easily. Deep inside, he was a broken man, but he hid his pain behind his wealth and silence. Daniel enjoyed the attention. Everywhere, people whispered his name. He had married the woman who was once his father's wife. For him, it was victory. For Clara, however, it was torment. Each night, as she lay beside Daniel, her mind returned to Michael. She remembered his kindness, his sacrifices, his gentle words in their early days. Daniel was passionate but childish. He was jealous, reckless, and irresponsible. Clara realized too late that what she felt for Daniel was not true love, but lust born out of confusion. Months passed, and Daniel began to show his true colors. He wasted money on gambling, clubs, and fake friends. He ignored Clara whenever she complained. Often, he came home drunk and violent. Clara endured silently, ashamed of her choices. One evening, Daniel slapped her after she confronted him for selling one of Michael's cars. She fell to the floor, weeping. That night, she could not sleep. She whispered to herself, "What have I done? I destroyed the only man who truly loved me." Meanwhile, Michael grew stronger in silence. His business expanded. He traveled, built more companies, and donated to charity. But inside, he carried scars no one could see. Each time he heard of Daniel's reckless lifestyle, he shook his head. "This is the son I raised without discipline," he thought. "Now the world will teach him." Clara's suffering deepened. Daniel's debts increased, and creditors harassed them. The once spoiled boy had no skills, no savings, nothing to hold on to. Out of pride, he refused to beg Michael for help. Then tragedy struck. One night, during a heated argument with loan sharks, Daniel was stabbed. Clara screamed as he bled in her arms. The news reached Michael at midnight. His heart raced, and for a moment he considered rushing to the hospital. But then he remembered the betrayal, the slap, the shame. He stayed at home, praying silently. Daniel died before dawn. Clara collapsed, broken, her eyes swollen with endless tears. The funeral was cold. Few friends attended. Michael stood at a distance, dressed in black, watching his son's coffin being lowered into the earth. Tears rolled down his cheeks, but he did not move closer. Clara knelt by the grave, crying uncontrollably. After the burial, she approached Michael, trembling. "Michael, I am sorry. I destroyed you. I destroyed myself. Please forgive me." Michael looked at her, his face hard but his voice calm. "Clara, forgiveness belongs to God. I gave you everything, but you chose my son. Now he is gone, and you must live with what you have done." Clara wept bitterly, clutching the ground. Michael turned and walked away, leaving her alone. Years later, Michael remained a respected businessman, though his eyes carried eternal sadness. Clara disappeared from Lagos, forgotten by many, remembered only as the woman who chose wrongly. And so the story ended, not with love, not with victory, but with pain and lessons, because betrayal never builds a home. This is the end of this story. The moral lesson: betrayal never builds happiness. True love is not taken by force, and no matter how far lies go, truth always catches up. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. And in the comments, tell us, was Clara a victim of weakness or a willing betrayer? We'd love to hear your thoughts.